I'm almost there. I'm almost there. People will come from everywhere. I'm almost there. A song from Princess and the Frog Disney, Tiana's song, when she sings about how she will own her own restaurant, can be a restaurant owner, which is a grand dream for a woman of color in 20s. Well, what else those years? Anyway, somewhere early 20th century. And lately that song rolls over in my head over and over again. I'm almost there. Not just lately, for years. It's just like my time. And Tiana is the princess I can identify with. The one struggling, poor, and just hardworking. Not that I'm that hardworking as she was portrayed to be, but I have 2 children. She had 2 jobs. Same thing. And struggling to make it, and she's almost there, and it's always in the grasp of her hand, but it's never quite there, and always thrown out, and she just makes a bigger effort. And the scene where they all sing to her that she needs to reconsider what it's missing from her life, and how her father was a loving family man, and she just says, I have to try a little harder and work even harder, and I will make it on my own. And the message of the movie is, you will not make it on your own. You need some help, you need some love, you need family, you need support. And in a vicious interpretation of that movie, you could say you need a man. It's not about the man, it's about love, about family, about support, about not doing it all on your own, about just being supported by community, by someone who understands you. And I love her and Prince Naveen. I think they are my favorite Disney couple because they have a similar ambition, and that is to make people happy. She wants to make people happy with her food, and he wants to make people happy with his music, with his art. And he's always treated like he's incapable and like he has nothing to offer, but he's an excellent musician. To be an excellent musician, it's hard work, and it's an effort, and he did invested his life in making himself a good musician. And when they opened their restaurant together, it's just like, yeah, he has something to offer in that place. He has a place to be useful. And I think that is a great movie. For me, that is the movie I went on repeat for my children. Even none of them liked it that much, but when nobody was watching television, I would just play it. I was do my dishes and went around the house and listened to it in the background, because the missing ingredient was a man, but it wasn't just any old man. It was a man who complements her, who's weak where she's strong, who's strong where she's weak, and together they can create this place where people can come in and be happy, because there's great music and great food, the 2 things they can provide. So, and they make each other grow. They make each other go out of their shell, their spot in the universe, because she's hardworking, and that is all that she is. She doesn't need fun, she doesn't need friends, she doesn't need a boyfriend, she just needs her job. And he's all fun and games, and he doesn't need commitment, he doesn't need a woman, he doesn't need to settle down, he doesn't need to be serious about anything. And she teaches him to be serious and committed, to persevere words. And he tries to make her laugh, and he makes her have fun. So the message of that movie is that it's nice to succeed, but it's better to have love while at it, you know? It's better to have someone to hold, someone to talk to, someone you understand, someone who understands you. Because for me, that is true romance. To understand one another, to talk and to really feel and understand what the other person is saying. And that doesn't mean we'll never fight or that it will be ideal and that it will be always nice. No, that's not the point of true partnership. A true partnerships incorporates sadness, anger, resentment. It incorporates all the misfortunes we went through till this point. And that's the point of life, to experience all your emotions, not to repress ones and experience only the good ones and express the repressed ones through your art or through your um, sport and through your music, but to just have a flow of emotion. Sadness is a normal emotion, it's acceptable and it's understandable. There are so many situations where sadness is a reasonable and appropriate response. There's nothing bad in sadness. Also with anger, anger is appropriate response and understandable reaction to certain situations and positions we were put in. So all our emotions have their purpose, like fear. I was driving yesterday with my sister and I got afraid when it was dark and the car went in our direction and it was unclear, is he in our lane, is he not in our lane, because my father was talking about a friend of ours who was hit like that. A car went into his lane and I was genuinely scared. My heart skipped a bit and I was like, and then I realized fear came back to me. And that's a good thing. Fear is a survival instinct. It's a sign that you want to survive. It's a sign that you value your life enough to fear of losing it, to value your dear ones enough to fear of losing them. Fear prevents us from jumping off the cliff, from being too reckless, from injuring ourselves. Fear is a useful emotion. And I personally didn't feel fear for quite some years. And that's just an indicator how my self-defense mechanism was triggered to diminish fear so I wouldn't be overwhelmed by it, so I can move forward and do steps that were necessary for me to survive. And now that my fear came back, I was like, oh, this is so nice. It's like a thrill. It's like, oh, I like this. Because fear means my emotions are now stable enough and I'm stable enough to feel it, to not be overwhelmed by it. And I think that applies to all other emotions. When we are under a lot of stress and we go through our traumatic experiences, or we have traumas from childhood, whatever traumas came from. Not only childhood produces wounds or traumas. It's just a response of our psyche to repress a certain emotion that is too big for us to handle, too grand and too overwhelming, and it would stop us from functioning. People who don't manage to do that end up being depressed in a way that they can't move, literally, that they just lie around all day through and they can't function. And there are other types like anxiety, that you can't function, that you're constantly wired like this and you just can't stop your emotion from flopping back and forth. And repression is one of the mechanisms that allows you to just take that and put it away until you can manage it. And I described it long ago, like it's just a way that I'll manage it, I'll deal with it later. And you hold it, and because you hold it, it makes you act a bit crazy. Because without this emotion, whatever that emotion is, you don't respond to situations normal and not normal. That's a triggering word. We are not aiming to be normal. We are aiming to be balanced. So you're not acting balanced, but always somehow miss out to understand this kind of response from people around us, or to present this kind of a response to that situation. And only when we feel safe enough and grown up enough, we are allowed to open up the fist and deal with the emotion, deal with the consequences of that trauma. And that's one of the mechanisms you can go through. So Later in life, if you're overwhelmed with the emotion you didn't feel for a long, don't beat yourself up. It's just a sign that you're getting healthier. And if you, I don't know, many things become what we think of them. So if you think about it, oh, I'm crazy, I'm going crazy, you will go, won't deal with the emotion and will continue to repress it because you think this is normal state, not this. And if you continue to repress it, to repress it, to repress it, of course you will appear crazy to people around you without you even knowing why are you crazy. But if you release it after initial shock of overwhelming emotion and crazy behaviors, with time it should become manageable again. You should be able to use that emotion and to regain a part of your personality. That's at least how I see it, and that's my experience because it happened in cycles many times over, but you go through it. And I think that's the key of balanced life and emotionally mm, fulfilling. I don't know, is it fulfilling, but emotionally stable. Stable, not fulfilling. Fulfilling is things we do that come from the outside and fill us with something, and functional life, where we can start to think what we want from life, what is that we desire. I want it all. Love, success, family, privacy, maybe even fame. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, I hope this meant anything to whoever is listening, and I'll see you around. Bye.